The sky above Centauri Prime burned red. Smoke rose from the eastern settlements as Olivia Martinez stared through the command center's viewport. 3 days of attacks had left their defenses crippled. The Vraxian ships hung in the sky like dark stars, their weapons ready to finish what they had started. "Status report," Olivia said, her voice steady despite her fear. Kyle Bennett looked up from his communications console. His face was smudged with dirt, and his eyes were red from lack of sleep. "Main power grid is at 28%. Southern shield generators are offline. We have 36 confirmed dead, over 100 wounded." Olivia closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them, her resolve had hardened. "And the quantum relay? Operational, but barely. We can send one message, maybe two before it burns out. That's all we need." She straightened her uniform jacket. "Prepare the distress signal." Lisa Cooper, the colony's chief doctor, entered the command center. "Commander, we need to move the wounded to the underground bunkers. If they hit the medical facility again." "Do it," Olivia said. "Paul, can you spare anyone to help?" Paul Jackson nodded. The engineer had spent the last 48 hours reinforcing what remained of their defenses. "I'll send 3 teams." On the main screen, another Vraxian landing craft descended toward the surface. Each one carried troops that moved like nightmares, tall and relentless. "They're enjoying this," Olivia said quietly. "They could have wiped us out on the first day." "Why don't they?" asked Kyle. "Because they want us to suffer. They want anyone who finds our bodies to know what happens when you defy the Vraxian Empire." She turned to face her team. "But we're not finished yet." The room fell silent. Everyone knew the colony's situation was hopeless. Centauri Prime had declared independence from Earth 15 years ago. They were on their own. No help was coming. "The message is ready," Kyle said. Olivia nodded and stepped to the console. She took a deep breath and began. "This is Commander Olivia Martinez of Centauri Prime Colony. We are under attack by the Vraxian Empire. Our defenses are failing. We have civilians, including children. The Vraxians have ignored all attempts at surrender or negotiation. They mean to wipe us out as an example." She paused. "We don't expect rescue. Earth forces couldn't reach us in time even if they tried. I send this message only so someone knows what happened here, so someone remembers us." She nodded to Kyle, who sent the transmission through the quantum relay. The device sparked and smoked as it pushed the message through space faster than thought. 12 light-years away, on a hidden base beneath Europa's ice, a computer terminal chimed. The message appeared on a screen, where it should not have been possible to receive it. Admiral Frank Donovan was reviewing deployment schedules when his aide entered the room. "Sir, we've received a quantum transmission. It's from Centauri Prime." Frank frowned. "Centauri? That's outside our jurisdiction. They went independent." "Yes, sir, but you should see this." Frank watched Olivia's message. His weathered face grew harder with each word. When it ended, he stood silently for a long moment. "Get me the Ghost Fleet commanders. All of them." "Sir, we have standing orders not to intervene in independent colony affairs." The diplomatic corps was very clear. "I don't give a damn what the diplomats say. Those are our people out there. The Vraxians have hundreds of ships. We have 7. Frank's eyes narrowed. 7 ships that officially don't exist. 7 ships with technology no one knows we have. He pulled up a star chart of the Centauri system. "Prepare for departure in 6 hours." "Sir, this could start a war." Frank looked at the frozen image of Olivia Martinez on the screen. "No," he said quietly. "This is how we end one before it reaches Earth. Alert the crew. The Ghost Fleet is moving out." On Centauri Prime, the Vraxian ships began their final approach. Olivia Martinez watched through the viewport as the largest ship positioned itself above the colony center. "Everyone to the bunkers," she ordered. "We hold as long as we can." No one was coming to save them. But 12 light-years away, in the shadow of Jupiter, Earth's most feared fleet was preparing to prove her wrong. The command room of the Ghost Fleet base hummed with urgent activity. Admiral Frank Donovan stood at the center, his face lit by the glow of tactical displays. 7 ship captains joined him, some in person, others as holograms from their vessels. "We launch in 4 hours," Frank said. "This mission is strictly off the record. Anyone with concerns should speak now." Commander Ryan Phillips stepped forward. He had served with Frank for 15 years and bore a scar across his cheek from their last unofficial mission. "The diplomatic corps will have our heads for this. Only if we fail," Frank replied. "And if we succeed, they'll pretend they ordered it all along." Ryan smiled. "I'm in." Dr. Abigail Winters, head of weapons research, pulled up schematics on the main display. Her hands moved quickly as she explained. "The Vraxians have never seen our Phantom missile system. Their shields analyze incoming threats based on mass and velocity. Our missiles shift phase at the moment of impact." "Will they work?" Lieutenant Eric Wright asked. The young tactical officer had never seen combat outside simulations, but his strategic mind had earned him a place in the Ghost Fleet. "They'll work," Abigail said firmly. "And the Nexus cannons will disrupt their gravitational stabilizers. But we need to get close." "That's where I come in," said Sergeant Michelle Howard. The Marine commander stood with arms crossed, her posture showing her combat experience. "My teams will deploy to the surface and extract the colonists while the Vraxians are busy with our ships." Frank nodded. "This is a rescue mission first, a fight second. We get those people out." Across the room, technicians prepared the ships. The Ghost Fleet existed in the shadows of Earth's military. These 7 vessels carry technology derived from alien wreckage, experimental systems, and weapons that violated half a dozen peace treaties. On the flagship bridge, Frank stared at the image of Olivia Martinez. Her face showed the strain of leadership under impossible odds. He had never met her, but he recognized the look of someone willing to die for their people. His aide approached with a datapad. "Admiral, this just came from Earth Command." Frank read the order and his jaw tightened. "They're explicitly forbidding any military action in the Centauri system. What do we do?" Frank handed back the pad. "Seems our communication system is experiencing technical difficulties. We won't receive that message until we return." He turned to the bridge crew. "Prepare for departure." The 7 ships of the Ghost Fleet rose from their hidden docks beneath Europa's icy surface. They moved silently into Jupiter's shadow, then vanished as their void drives engage. The void drive was humanity's greatest secret. It bent space differently than conventional alien technology, allowing the ships to travel faster than any known species. The journey to Centauri Prime would take just under 16 hours instead of weeks. Inside the lead ship, Eric Wright reviewed Vraxian battle formations. "They always fight the same way," he told the bridge crew. "They surround their targets in layers, like predators closing in. But that creates a vulnerability. If we can pierce their formation at these points, we can disrupt their entire attack pattern." "They've never lost a major battle," Ryan reminded him. "Neither have we," Eric replied. Michelle Howard prepared her Marines, checking equipment and reviewing the colony layout. "We drop fast and quiet. The colonists are our priority." Abigail moved between weapon stations, making final adjustments. "Remember, the Phantom missiles only work at close range. Make every shot count." In his quarters, Frank recorded a message. If they failed, someone needed to know why they had gone. "We do this not because these colonists are under Earth's protection. We do this because they are human, and humans protect their own." The Ghost Fleet slipped through the void between stars, 7 ships against an empire. On Centauri Prime, Olivia Martinez and her people retreated deeper into their bunkers as Vraxian troops moved through the colony. Their scanners showed more enemy ships arriving each hour. The Vraxian Supreme Executor, Krasanar, broadcast his message across the colony. "Your suffering is just beginning. Let the galaxy witness what becomes of those who refuse Vraxian rule." No one on Centauri Prime slept that night. No one knew that salvation was racing through the dark, breaking every rule to reach them in time. The walls of the underground bunker shook as another Vraxian bomb hit the surface. Dust fell from the ceiling. Children cried while adults tried to comfort them with whispered words and brave faces. Olivia Martinez moved through the crowded space, checking on her people. The colony's main bunker now held over 2,000 civilians. The air was growing stale. How much longer can we hold out? Lisa Cooper asked. The doctor worked tirelessly, moving from one injured person to another with dwindling medical supplies. Water recyclers are at 40%, Paul Jackson said. The engineer had rigged emergency systems throughout the bunker network. Air filters are struggling. 3, maybe 4 days at most. Olivia nodded. She had expected worse. And our defense teams? Taking heavy losses, Paul replied. The Vraxians are pushing closer to the central compound. On the surface, the once beautiful colony lay in ruins. Vraxian troops moved through the streets, tall figures in dark armor. They searched buildings and destroyed anything they found. Behind them came their collection squads, gathering human technology for study before final destruction. In what remained of the communications center, Kyle Bennett worked frantically. His small team maintained the colony's last working comm array, hidden beneath a collapsed building. "Commander, I'm picking up Vraxian communications," Kyle said when Olivia reached his position. "They're talking about a special prisoner." "Who?" "Director Warren." Olivia's face hardened. Samuel Warren, the colony administrator, had disappeared 2 days before the attack. Now they knew why. He betrayed us. They're bringing him to the central compound. I think they want him to help identify colony leaders. How long until they reach us? Hours, maybe less. Olivia looked at the tired faces around her. Move everyone deeper into the tunnel system. Seal the upper levels behind us. Back in the bunker, Paul organized evacuation teams while Lisa prepared the wounded for transport. Children were moved first, guided by teachers and parents, through narrow maintenance tunnels. A young girl tugged at Olivia's sleeve. "Are we going to die?" she asked. Olivia knelt down. "Not today," she said firmly. "We're fighters, remember?" The girl nodded, clutching a worn stuffed animal. "What's your name?" Olivia asked. "Lily." "Well, Lily, I need brave people right now. Can you help the other kids stay calm?" The girl stood a little straighter. "Yes, Mom." Olivia watched her join the other children, wondering if she had just told the girl a lie. Would any of them survive the week? Outside the colony perimeter, Supreme Executor Krasnar observed the destruction from his command platform. The Vraxian leader stood nearly 8 feet tall, his scaled skin reflecting the fires of the burning settlement. "Bring the traitor," he ordered. 2 guards dragged Samuel Warren forward. The once proud colony administrator now looked broken, his face bruised and clothes torn. "Your people continue to resist," Krasnar said. "Where are they hiding?" Warren kept his eyes on the ground. "I've told you everything I know." "Not everything." Krasnar stepped closer. "The underground network. How deep does it go?" Warren remained silent. "Your cooperation has been noted," Krasnar said. "But my patience ends. Tell me about the bunkers, or we begin using the pain enhancers on the prisoners we've already captured." Warren's shoulders slumped. The main bunker connects to mining tunnels beneath the eastern ridge. There are 5 levels. Krasnar nodded to his commander. "Send teams to the eastern ridge. Find the access points." In the command bunker, alarms flashed as sensors detected movement above. "They'd found the eastern entrance," Kyle reported. "How?" Olivia demanded. "Someone told them." Paul rushed in. "We've moved everyone to level 5, but we need more time." Olivia grabbed her weapon. "Then we'll give them more time. Form a defense line at level 3. The colony's last fighters gathered. Engineers, farmers, teachers, anyone who could hold a weapon. They moved to their positions as Vraxian drilling equipment began to break through the upper levels. "Hold as long as you can," Olivia told them. Every minute keeps our people alive a little longer. The first Vraxian troops breached level 1 as the defenders braced themselves. No one expected to survive. No one knew that salvation was less than 4 hours away, racing through the void between stars. The Ghost Fleet emerged at the edge of the Centauri system, immediately activating their cloaking systems. The 7 ships vanished from conventional sensors, becoming shadows against the stars. On the bridge of the flagship, Admiral Frank Donovan studied the tactical display with grim focus. The Vraxian presence was even larger than expected. Over 200 enemy vessels surrounded Centauri Prime in layered defensive formations. Scan complete. Commander Ryan Phillips reported. We count 15 major warships, 40 mid-sized cruisers, and approximately 150 support vessels. And us with just 7 ships, Frank said quietly. 7 ships they don't know exist, Ryan reminded him. Intelligence officer Catherine Lewis joined them at the tactical display. Her job was to understand the enemy. Vraxians have a rigid command structure. If we can take out their leadership, the rest will become disorganized. Which one is the command ship? Frank asked. Catherine pointed to a large vessel hovering directly above the colony. That one. The Supreme Executor will be aboard. Lieutenant Eric Wright studied the enemy formation. His mind calculated distances and attack vectors. They've arranged their ships in a standard Vraxian encirclement pattern. They're not expecting any threat from space, because they think no one would come, Frank said. How long until they detect us? If we maintain full cloak, they won't see us at all, Ryan answered. At the moment we fire, they'll know we're here. Dr. Abigail Winters entered the bridge, her eyes bright with nervous energy. The Phantom missiles are ready, and I've made adjustments to the Nexus cannons. They'll disrupt Vraxian gravitic systems more efficiently than in our simulations. Frank nodded. Good. What about the colony? Do we have contact? Negative, Ryan said. Their communication systems are down, but we're picking up life signs beneath the surface. Most of the colonists appear to be in underground structures. And the Vraxian ground forces. They're pushing into the underground levels. The colonists don't have much time. Frank turned to Sergeant Michelle Howard. Prepare your teams for immediate deployment. Your priority is evacuating civilians. Michelle saluted. My Marines are ready, Admiral. Just get us close enough to drop. Frank faced his crew. His next orders would start a battle with uncertain outcome. This is what we're going to do. We'll split our forces. 5 ships will remain cloaked, positioning themselves at strategic points throughout the Vraxian formation. The flagship and Ryan's vessel will decloak and approach openly. You want them to see us? Ryan asked. I want them to focus on us, Frank explained. 2 human ships appearing out of nowhere will get their attention. They'll assume we're alone and move to intercept. When they do, they'll leave gaps in their formation. Eric studied the plan. Those gaps will allow our cloaked vessels to move into firing position. Exactly, Frank said, and give Michelle's team a clear path to the surface. The bridge crew moved to their stations with purpose. Years of training was about to be tested in real combat. Frank opened a channel to all Ghost Fleet vessels. This is Admiral Donovan. In a few minutes, we will engage an enemy that believes itself invincible. They've never faced Earth's true military capabilities. They've never faced us. He paused. Our mission is simple. Save our people. Show the Vraxians and the galaxy that humanity is not to be underestimated. Ghost Fleet, prepare for battle. On Centauri Prime, the situation grew desperate. Olivia Martinez and her remaining fighters retreated to level 4 of the underground complex. Behind them, Vraxian troops pushed forward relentlessly. We can't hold them much longer, Paul Jackson said, reloading his weapon with their dwindling ammunition. We just need to buy more time for the civilians, Olivia replied. In his command ship, Supreme Executor Krasnar received reports of the humans' stubborn resistance. These creatures continue to surprise me with their tenacity. It will make their eventual defeat more satisfying. A junior officer approached nervously. Supreme One, our outer sensors are detecting an anomaly. What kind of anomaly? Two vessels have appeared at the edge of our formation. They appear to be human ships. Krasanar laughed. Only two. Earth sends only two ships. He rose from his command chair. Prepare a welcoming party. Let us show these humans the might of the Vraxian Empire. He did not notice as 5 more ships, invisible to his sensors, moved silently into position around his fleet. The 2 visible Ghost Fleet ships moved steadily toward the Vraxian Armada. On the flagship's bridge, Admiral Frank Donovan watched the enemy vessels adjust their positions to intercept. "They're taking the bait," Ryan Phillips said from his own ship. His voice came through the secure comm channel clear and calm. 15 Vraxian cruisers are moving to engage us. Hold course, Frank ordered. Weapons on standby. Let them come to us. The massive Vraxian ships approached with obvious confidence. They dwarfed the human vessels, their weapons systems powering up as they came within range. A communication request flashed on Frank's command screen. He nodded to his communications officer. Supreme Executor Krasanar's face appeared on the main display. The Vraxian leader looked down at Frank with amused contempt. "Human vessels, you show either great courage or great stupidity by coming here," Krasanar said. "Surrender now, and I will consider allowing your crews to live as slaves." Frank met the alien's gaze calmly. "This is Admiral Frank Donovan of Earth. We've come for the colonists of Centauri Prime." Krasanar laughed, a harsh sound that echoed across the bridge. "2 small ships against my armada. What do you hope to accomplish?" "We hope to give you a chance," Frank replied evenly. "Withdraw your forces and release the colonists. This is your only warning." The Vraxian's amusement turned to anger. "You dare threaten the Vraxian Empire. Your ships will be destroyed, and your world will be next." The communication ended abruptly. Frank turned to his crew. "Right on schedule. All ships, prepare to execute Battle Plan Alpha." The Vraxian vessels moved into attack formation, surrounding the 2 human ships in a classic pincer movement. Their weapons charge, preparing to obliterate the seemingly suicidal Earth vessels. "They've committed 30 ships to our position now," Eric Wright reported. "Their formation has gaps exactly where we predicted." Frank opened a channel to the 5 cloaked ships. "All vessels, prepare to decloak on my mark. Target priority is shield generators and propulsion systems. Michelle, your team drops the moment we create the opening." "Ready, Admiral." Michelle Howard confirmed from the launch bay where her Marines waited in drop pods. The Vraxian ships fired their first volley. Energy beams streaked toward the human vessels. "Defensive measures," Frank ordered calmly. The Ghost Fleet ships activated their advanced shield systems. The Vraxian weapons hit but caused minimal damage. "They're surprised," Catherine Lewis observed, watching sensor readings of the Vraxian ships. "Their weapons should have torn through conventional human shields." "Now we show them what else we can do," Frank said. "All cloaked vessels, decloak and fire. Execute Battle Plan Alpha. Now." Across the Vraxian formation, 5 Ghost Fleet ships suddenly appeared where nothing had been seconds before. They fired immediately, phantom missiles streaking toward their targets. The results were devastating. The phase-shifting missiles passed directly through the Vraxian shields as if they weren't there, detonating against vulnerable hull sections. Explosions bloomed across the Vraxian fleet as ship after ship took critical damage. "Direct hits on 23 enemy vessels," Eric reported, his voice tight with excitement. Their shields were completely ineffective. On his command ship, Krasnar roared in shock and rage. "Impossible. Where did these ships come from? How did they penetrate our shields?" His officers scrambled for answers as more phantom missiles struck their defensive line. For the first time, the Supreme Executor felt something unfamiliar: doubt. Meanwhile, the Nexus cannons fired. Unlike conventional weapons, they didn't damage the ships directly. Instead, they disrupted the gravitational fields the Vraxian vessels depended on for stability. Across the formation, enemy ships began to drift out of position, their crews struggling to maintain control. "The opening is clear," Frank said to Michelle. "Launch your teams now." In the launch bay, Michelle and her Marines entered their drop pods. "Remember your training," she told them. "Get to the colonists. Get them out. Everything else is secondary." The pods launched, streaking toward the planet's surface through the gap the Ghost Fleet had created in the Vraxian formation. On the underground level of Centauri Prime, Olivia Martinez and her fighters prepared for what they believed would be their final stand. The Vraxians had reached level 4 and were breaking through the last barriers. "This is it," she told her people. "Whatever happens, we show them humans don't surrender easily." Then Kyle Bennett called out from his makeshift communication station. "Commander, I'm picking up something on emergency frequencies." "What is it?" Kyle looked up, his face showing disbelief. "It's a message. From Earth." Michelle Howard felt the impact as her drop pod hit the atmosphere of Centauri Prime. Around her, 20 other pods carried her best Marines. They streaked through the night sky like meteors, their heat shields glowing red. 30 seconds to landing," she told her team through the comlink. "Remember, we move fast and stay together. Find the colonists and get them to the extraction point." The pods adjusted their trajectory, aiming for a landing zone 2 miles from the main colony center. They needed to avoid the heaviest concentrations of Vraxian troops. "Brace for landing," Michelle ordered as the ground rushed up to meet them. The pods deployed braking systems at the last possible moment, hitting the surface with controlled force. Michelle's pod door blew outward, and she emerged with her weapon ready. Her Marines gathered quickly, their dark armor blending with the night. "Perimeter secure," her second-in-command reported. "No enemy contact yet." Michelle checked her scanner. "Colony life signs are concentrated beneath the eastern ridge, level 5 of the underground complex. The Vraxians are already on level 4. "We need to move now," a Marine said. Michelle nodded. "Alpha team with me through the main entrance. Beta team, find the emergency access tunnels. We'll catch the Vraxians in a crossfire." The teams moved out, covering ground quickly and silently. Years of training made them nearly invisible in the darkness. They'd reached the edge of the colony, where buildings lay in ruins. Fires still burned in some structures, casting eerie light across the destruction. Michelle held up her hand, stopping her team as a Vraxian patrol passed nearby. The aliens were tall, their armor making them look even larger. They moved with predatory confidence through the ruins. When the patrol passed, Michelle led her team forward again. They reached a damaged building that concealed one of the main entrances to the underground levels. "This is where we split up," she told Beta Team. "We'll meet at level 4. Remember, we're here to save colonists, not to fight a war." Beta Team disappeared into the night, heading for the emergency access points. Michelle and Alpha Team prepared to enter the main complex. "Ready breaching charges," she ordered. The entrance was sealed, likely by the colonists themselves. "We go in fast and clear a path down to level 4. The charges detonated with a muffled thump, blowing the entrance open. Michelle led her team inside, moving down into the darkness. They encountered their first Vraxian troops 1 level down. The aliens were caught by surprise. They turned toward the unexpected threat, but Michelle's team fired first. Their weapons made little sound but dropped the Vraxians where they stood. "Keep moving," Michelle urged. They descended deeper, fighting through small groups of Vraxian soldiers. On level 4, Olivia Martinez and her fighters heard the sounds of combat above them. But it was different. Not the steady advance they had grown used to, but chaotic, as if the Vraxians were being attacked. "Something's happening," Paul Jackson said, his exhausted face showing confusion. Kyle Bennett was still listening to the emergency frequency. "Commander, the message is repeating. It says Earth forces have engaged the Vraxian fleet and are deploying ground teams to extract us." "That's impossible," Olivia said. Earth wouldn't send. Her words were cut off as an explosion rocked the barrier they had erected. But when the smoke cleared, it wasn't Vraxians who came through the opening. It was humans in combat armor. Michelle Howard stepped forward, removing her helmet. Commander Martinez, Sergeant Michelle Howard, Earth Ghost Fleet Marines. We're here to get you out. Olivia stared in disbelief. How? Why? Admiral Donovan received your distress call, Michelle explained. We came as fast as we could. Now we need to move. There's a battle going on up there, and our window for extraction is limited. Paul looked at the Marines in awe. I don't believe it. You actually came for us. We don't leave our people behind, Michelle said simply. Now, where are your civilians? Olivia found her voice. Level 5. About 2,000 people. That's a lot more than we expected, Michelle said, opening her comlink. Admiral, we've made contact with the colonists. We have approximately 2,000 civilians to evacuate. We'll need additional transport. Above the planet, Frank Donovan received the message as the Ghost Fleet continued to battle the Vraxian Armada. Understood, Sergeant. Hold position. We're sending reinforcements. The battle for Centauri Prime had only just begun. The battle above Centauri Prime reached a turning point. The Ghost Fleet had destroyed 30 Vraxian ships and damaged many more, but they had suffered damage too. The element of surprise was gone, and the Vraxians were adapting to their weapons. On the bridge of his flagship, Admiral Frank Donovan received troubling news. The Vraxians have modified their shields, Ryan Phillips reported. Our Phantom missiles are becoming less effective. Frank studied the tactical display. Switch to conventional weapons. We need to keep their attention up here while Michelle evacuates the colonists. A massive explosion rocked the ship. Warning lights flashed across the bridge. Direct hit to our starboard engine. A crew member called out. Shields at 60%. Return fire, Frank ordered. Target their weapon systems. The Ghost Fleet ships fought with skill and determination, but they were outnumbered. For every Vraxian vessel they disabled, 3 more took its place. Commander Ryan Phillips' ship, the U.S. Valiant, suffered the worst damage. Its engines were failing and hull breaches had forced the crew to seal off multiple sections. Admiral, Ryan called over the comm. We can't hold much longer. Our core is destabilizing. Fall back to the extraction point. Frank ordered. We'll cover you. Ryan's image flickered on the screen. There's no time. But I can still do some good. His face showed calm resolve. Permission to engage final protocol. Frank understood immediately what Ryan was suggesting. His oldest friend was asking to sacrifice himself and his ship. He wanted to refuse, to find another way, but the tactical situation was clear. Permission granted, Frank said, his voice steady despite the pain in his eyes. Godspeed, Ryan. It's been an honor, sir. Ryan ended the transmission and turned to his remaining crew. Abandon ship. Get to the escape pods. As his crew evacuated, Ryan set the Valiant on a collision course with the Vraxian command ship. The damaged vessel accelerated, pushing its failing engines beyond their limits. Supreme Executor Krasnar saw the danger too late. Evasive action, he shouted, but the human ship was coming too fast. The U.S. Valiant struck the Vraxian command ship with devastating force. Both vessels erupted in a massive explosion that rippled through the nearby Vraxian formation, disabling or destroying a dozen more enemy ships. On his flagship, Frank Donovan watched the sacrifice of his friend in grim silence. Then he opened a channel to all remaining Ghost Fleet vessels. Focus all fire on the gap Ryan created. We're going to break their line. On the planet's surface, the evacuation faced its own challenges. Michelle Howard and her Marines had reached level 5 where 2,000 colonists waited. Children cried, the elderly struggled to move, and the wounded needed special care. We can't move this many people through the main access, Michelle told Olivia Martinez. The Vraxians will cut us down. Paul Jackson stepped forward. There's another way. The mining tunnels extend for miles. They connect to a secondary landing field on the far side of the ridge. "Can we get everyone there?" Michelle asked. "It won't be easy," Paul admitted. "The tunnels are narrow and not well maintained." Olivia made the decision. "It's our only chance. Paul, lead the first group. I'll stay with the rear guard." The evacuation began. Colonists moved through the dark tunnels in a long line, guided by Paul's engineers. Michelle split her Marines between front, middle, and rear positions. As they moved, Vraxian forces discovered their plan. Enemy troops began entering the tunnel system from multiple access points. "They're coming in behind us," a Marine reported as weapons fire echoed through the tunnels. Michelle set up defensive positions at key junctions. "Hold them back as long as you can. The civilians need more time." At the front of the column, Paul led the first colonists toward the exit, but a tunnel collapsed, blocking their path. "We need another route," he told Michelle over the comm. Before she could respond, Director Samuel Warren appeared from a side passage. The man who had betrayed the colony was bloody and exhausted. "I can show you another way," he said. "Let me help. Please." Paul aimed his weapon at Warren. "Why should we trust you?" "Because I want to fix what I've done," Warren answered. "There's a maintenance shaft that leads directly to the landing field. The Vraxians don't know about it." At the rear of the column, Olivia heard heavy footsteps. Vraxian troops were closing in fast. "We're running out of time," she told Michelle. "Whatever we're going to do, we need to do it now." Michelle Howard made her decision quickly. "Show us this maintenance shaft," she told Warren. "But if this is a trick, you won't live to regret it." Warren nodded and led them to a hidden panel in the tunnel wall. Behind it was a narrow passage. "This leads directly to the landing field." The miners used it as a shortcut. Paul went first, followed by the colonists. The passage was tight, forcing everyone to move in single file. Children were passed hand to hand through the most difficult sections. At the rear, Olivia and several Marines held back the approaching Vraxians. Their ammunition was almost gone. "We can't hold much longer," Olivia said into her comm. "Just a few more minutes," Michelle replied. "The first group is already reaching the exit." In orbit, the battle had reached its climax. The Ghost Fleet, though damaged, had broken through the Vraxian formation following Ryan's sacrifice. The enemy fleet was in disarray, their rigid command structure thrown into chaos by the loss of the Supreme Executor. Admiral Frank Donovan directed his remaining ships to form a protective barrier around the planet's atmosphere. "Any word from the ground teams?" he asked. Sergeant Howard reports they're approaching the secondary landing field, his communications officer replied. "But they have Vraxian forces in pursuit. Send all available dropships to that location." Frank ordered. "We need to get those people off the planet now." The Ghost Fleet's dropships descended through the atmosphere, dodging sporadic fire from the remaining Vraxian vessels. They raced toward the landing field as the first colonists emerged from the tunnel system. Paul Jackson organized the civilians into groups as they reached the surface. The night air felt sweet after the stale tunnels. Above them, they could see flashes of light as the battle continued in orbit. "The ships are coming," Paul told the frightened colonists. "Just a little longer." In the tunnel, Director Warren paused at a junction. "There's a structural weakness here. If we collapse it, we can block the Vraxians and give everyone time to escape." "How?" Michelle asked. Warren removed an explosive device from his pocket. "I took this from a Vraxian guard. I can trigger it manually, but someone has to stay behind," Michelle finished for him. Warren nodded. "It should be me. This happened because of me." Before anyone could argue, the sound of Vraxian troops grew louder. They were almost upon them. "Go," Warren said. "Get everyone out. I'll hold them here." Michelle looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. "Good luck." As the last colonists hurried through the passage, Warren positioned himself at the junction. When the first Vraxian troops appeared, he detonated the explosive. The tunnel collapsed with a thunderous roar, burying Warren. and the enemy soldiers beneath tons of rock. On the landing field, the drop ships touched down as the last colonists emerged from the tunnel. Michelle organized the evacuation, prioritizing children and the wounded. "Get aboard," she told Olivia. "We're leaving." Olivia watched as her people climbed into the ships. After days of believing they would die, salvation had arrived just in time. In orbit, Frank Donovan received the news he had been waiting for. All colonists secured, Admiral. Dropships are lifting off now. Frank opened a channel to the remaining Vraxian ships. "This is Admiral Donovan of Earth. Your Supreme Executor is dead. Half your fleet is destroyed or disabled. We have rescued the colonists of Centauri Prime. This battle is over." He paused, letting his words sink in. "Remember this, humanity protects its own, no matter how far from Earth they may be. If you ever threaten human lives again, we will respond. And next time, we won't stop until your entire fleet is destroyed." The Vraxian ships began to retreat, pulling back from Centauri Prime. Without their Supreme Executor, they had lost the will to continue the fight. As the drop ships docked with the Ghost Fleet vessels, Olivia Martinez made her way to the bridge of the flagship. She found Admiral Donovan looking out at the stars. "You came for us," she said simply, "even though we weren't under Earth's protection, even though no one would have blamed you for staying away." Frank turned to her. "We're all human. That's protection enough." The Ghost Fleet set course for Earth, leaving behind a destroyed colony, but carrying its most important part, its people. Across the galaxy, the story spread quickly. Humans had done the impossible. They had faced the mighty Vraxian Empire and won. They had traveled faster than thought possible, used weapons no one knew existed, and fought with unexpected courage. 3 days later, Earth received messages from alien civilizations that had previously ignored human diplomatic efforts. They all said essentially the same thing. "We wish to establish formal relations with Earth." The galaxy had learned an important lesson. Humanity might be young among the stars, but they were not to be underestimated. And they never, ever abandoned their own.